Nando made the trick, so you know we about to turn on.
Grand Rising Kings and Queens, and we're back with another video. So there has been a tremendous outpour of comments and back and forth about racism, and how racism has nothing to do with the justice system, and the justice system has nothing to do with racism, and neither one of those has anything to do with what's going on now. So this was just a video that I ran across 2 days ago, and I definitely like Mr. Jay Morrison. I've been following him for a while. I don't consider myself a fan of anyone's, but still good information. I always like to give people the credit that, is promoting that information or is standing for something. So Mr. Jay Morrison is one of those people. He's very, very just diverse in his thinking. Just go check his videos out on YouTube and check out his background and where he's at now. Very successful, doing some major moves. So, let's get into it.
When you start saying that the government is a hate group and they hate black people, do you honestly believe the U.S. government, this current U.S. government hates black people?
Well, the current U.S. government system is of the same system and same structure that it's always been. And it's, we can call it mislike, we can call it antipathy, but regardless, there is a difference in how the government treats and addresses black people or Africans in America in the way they do other.
Can you give me a couple examples?
Sure, and I'm glad you asked that. It's a great alley-oop, I call it, right? I'm a slam dunk it. So if your audience, right, who are probably going crazy right now, this guy, said these things, the government hates black people. I want everyone to look up things like the war on drugs, which has targeted black people, mass incarceration, COINTELPRO. The FBI director, James Comey himself, and the New York head of police also said the origin of policing came from slave catching. We also can look at black codes, the vagrancy tactics, the bombing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the bombing in Philly of the Moo family, all done by the U.S. government towards African people in America.
So you would say arresting people and keeping law and order is anti-black? By saying that, are you saying that black people inherently are the ones committing the crimes?
No, what I'm saying is that having a system, a structure in place, right, from the post-freedom or enslavement of black people, and where a system was created called the convict leasing system by our government, and where the same year that slaves were free, they created laws called vagrancy tactics that made it illegal for blacks to be homeless and would lock blacks up and put them in a convict leasing system.
But see, here's the thing. I hear what you're talking about with respect to America's history. Right.
See, the point is that they don't want to address it. I just had this issue with someone on Instagram. They want to believe that, well, they actually told me that it's Zionists and it's not the Caucasians. So when I explain all of the documented history, then they're going to say, oh, you're just a racist. Why every time we bring up everything that's been documented, that is the past, that is factual, are we the racists? But they're not the racists. Anywho, just listen to what this guy is going to say. I mean, it's clear as day that he is whitewashed. I mean, he will not address, and if you just pay close attention to anyone that you address this with, especially the Caucasians, they will try and deter you from this conversation as much as possible. They will turn the blame completely on you. Forget the perpetrator. The one to blame is the victim once they've been hurt. They're going to tell you about what all the stuff the victim does once they have been hurt. All the bad stuff the victim does once they're hurt. Let's listen.
The same practices are happening today.
Well, I see homeless people all over the place, but I still don't see where you're justifying your current anger toward America or the American government. I can see you being upset about what may have happened in the past, but you cannot say it's occurring. Of course it's changed. The fact that you're in this studio right now talking the way you are is the best proof in the world that it's changed.
The fact that the 13th Amendment still says slavery was abolished except...
I just wanted to take it back a little bit. Let's just watch that again.
That has changed.
The fact that the 13th Amendment still says slavery was abolished except you commit a crime says that things are still the same. And when you have inmates working in prison, majority of whom are Africans in America,
someone
who are making 20 and 30 cents a day.
Jay, why are the majority of people in prison of African descent?
They have the god-daggone nerve. Why are all people in jail of African descent? Because it was made that way. The system, the racist, systematic, whatever, justice system, whatever they want to call it, that's the reason why. The redlining, the COINTELPRO, everything that he just named is telling you why. And he's refusing to acknowledge that, which is making him continuously ask questions in circles. Your time is up. You guys are not going to continue asking questions in circles, sending whitewashed or Caucasian washed or Caucasian people to interview us, to tell us how bad we are for responding to bad people. Your time is up. All the documented history is here. Everyone is seeing it. It's over. You can't explain this shit away. I asked someone earlier today to explain eugenics. They're going to tell me, oh, it was terrible. As a matter of fact, I'll do a video on it later. They're going to tell me, oh, yeah, it was terrible. But look at all the technology that, bitch, do you know it? Excuse my language, but do you know what eugenics was? It was an attack medically against colored folk to advance Caucasians' lives. And you have the nerve to say, well, at least we got further. Yeah, you did get further. Yes, you racist pieces of stuff, you did get further. That's why the whole medical system is built for them. I believe I made a video on that. I got to go back and look, but I think I did. If I didn't, I'll definitely make one. But let's continue to watch.
Because the African people in America were never repaired after their enslavement, after their Jim Crow, after the government redlined them, after the government never gave any restitution for the Holocaust enslavement of African people. So if you don't repair a people, or you put them in ghettos, and you put them poor and uneducated in ghettos, you're going to get that kind of activity.
You know, it's interesting when we have this conversation, sometimes I drive home on the West Side Highway. It's a little cluttered, so I'll take the slow route. And I drive through some of my old neighborhoods that I lived in throughout Harlem. And I see them now, and they're becoming what they call gentrified. So it's the same neighborhood, the same buildings, but less graffiti, less garbage on the street. So what makes a ghetto a ghetto? Not the buildings, not the neighborhood, right?
Correct.
Right. So the way people treat the buildings in the neighborhood makes it a ghetto. Who can you blame that on other than the person in the mirror?
There's two accountabilities. There is self-accountability for Africans in America, that we have to repair ourselves because of the trauma that we suffered. But I liken it to, if you take someone who was kidnapped, right, and or a woman or a man who was molested for several years, and then they're pushed out of the house that they were molested in, and then they go out in the streets and they're promiscuous. You blame them for being promiscuous, but you don't blame the person who caused the trauma.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
See, it's not a stretch.
It's a stretch.
How is that a stretch? You mass murder and kill, rape and kill nations, countries, one kind, Caucasians. They stole the lands of America. Now they claim to own, if not all of it, the majority of it. Who gave it? Who sold it to them? Who gave them the lands? How do they own everything? How?
Was there or was there not? So if there was never trauma for this kind of treatment, right? I'm talking about the human rights violations of Africa.
We're talking about the individual, not the history. One thing, I got to tell you something.
They come together, King.
They don't.
They come together. If they did, if there wasn't a need for repair, of people, then the Japanese Americans wouldn't have been repaired or had restitution after their 2 years internment camps in America. Or the Jewish Germans wouldn't have gotten repair or
Are you saying all it would take in your mind then is some sort of restitution check from the government?
I didn't say check.
No, well, you're saying some sort of restitution.
Repair aid, restoration.
Let me tell you something.
You see how he tried to almost force him saying that he wanted money to make up for all that they did, but he's not going to address what they did. So you're saying you want a check. Motherfucker, if that's what somebody asked for, then got that going right. That's the least. The least. How do you repair someone's life that you've taken? How do you repair a nation that you've taken? How do you repair that? You think a check is good enough? You think we should have to ask for that?
There are no black people in America right now who were ever slaves. Not a single one. Right. There are no white people in America at this point who were ever slave owners.
Correct.
Okay.
But is there not residual effects of that?
The overwhelming majority.
Are there no residual effects of that?
Not for the average person on either side.
Is there no
not for the average person for the either
How
side.
do black people get into the ghettos you talked about?
You have to escape
Did the government
yourself.
not redline black people, put red lines on the map? Google it if you don't know, King. The government put black people into ghettos through redlining. That created it.
Jay.
Is that right or wrong?
Ultimately, we are in a point right now.
He's going to refuse to answer. This is their tactics. They refuse to answer and they quick talk you. They keep salesmen talking you. That's what I call it, salesman talking, because they say a whole bunch of bullcrap, talk in circles, and say absolutely nothing of substance to get anywhere to a resolution. All they do is play the blame game. Oh, so you're saying, notice how he's asking the question. So you're saying, how do all the black people get there? So how are you against the government? Oh, it's individuality. Oh, there's gentrification. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, well, what about your part? Oh, well, what about this? No. What about the people that caused the freaking trauma and stuff? What about that? That doesn't matter?
Not create COINTELPRO, a government program that broke up civil rights leaders and assassinated our people. Did the government not do that?
Jay, hold on, I guess, activist Jay Morrison.
He couldn't answer that COINTELPRO thing where they assassinated our kind. They went in and killed all the civil rights leaders, literally assassinated them in cold blood, drug them out in front of the camera so that everyone could see what they had done, because it was, it's basically like, look, we're going to show you guys. So yeah, that's what killed off the Black Panthers essentially, and all of the strong united fronts that we had that was left fighting for something, not following this bull crap that we've been fed.
All right, Jay, before we went to break, you were explaining all these government programs that were designed and currently are.
You were explaining all of these government programs that were designed. All of them. But that doesn't matter. Let's look way past that. Let's look over that. We're never going to talk about those things. We're never going to talk about those government programs that were used to destroy colored folks. We're not going to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, if we don't address it, we just keep blaming them, then we can get past.
Designed to hold black people back.
Absolutely.
But again, in your tweet, you term it as government as a hate group.
Correct.
Now, right now, you have a
black... What was my tweet? Let's be correct about that. It wasn't my tweet.
Oh, that wasn't your tweet initially?
No,
okay.
That was not my
I'm
tweet.
glad. I'm sorry, then. I misquoted you. He added your name to the tweet, then.
Right.
We're talking about the killer of the police officers in Baton Rouge.
Absolutely.
Who had one Twitter account called Convos with Cosmo. But he did reach out to you because...
They always try to associate with you with some type of killer or the worst aspect possible so that they can try and take the blame and the attention off of them. Forget the fact that they've mass murdered millions upon nations. If you get associated with one killer, then they going to take you down. They're going to take you down because you're the bad one, not them. They can do whatever they want to, kill as many as they want to. Slaughter, take pictures, burn you, mutilate you, and nothing happens.
He felt that you guys might have been like-minded on some of this stuff. Not necessarily going as far as murdering anyone, but certainly on the idea that black people are victims in this country, despite the fact we have a black president and a whole lot of black people in this government who have been in position.
That's like saying, you guys got a black guy in the movie. We had a black president. One black president out of how many Caucasian presidents? This is what I mean by whitewashed. You have the nerve to point out one colored president out of how many Caucasian presidents? How many years did it take to get a colored president? Boy, go sit down somewhere. Seriously.
For almost 8 years.
Right. Who are
You think
in the
Barack
same
Obama?
system.
You think Barack Obama hates black people?
I don't think that all cops hate black people. I don't think that all government officials hate black people.
What does it matter if Barack hates colored folks or not? What does it matter? What about the rest of the whole what? You see how they try and minimize everything to one little thing? Oh, so you think that Barack hates black people? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? That has nothing to do with anything. We don't care who Barack likes or hates. That has nothing to do with the systematic racism, injustice that we've encountered.
What I'm saying is that you could put good people in a bad... You're a businessman, you know. You could put good people in a bad system. If the company culture is screwed up, then it's going to play out in the market. Well, the market for us is a treatment of African people in America. And it's proven by, Jane Elliott said it best. You can ask a room full of European Americans, white people, and ask them, would you trade places with the treatment of African American? And not one would say yes. If it was fair, they all would say, sure, I would. So ask your white friends at home and ask them, would you trade places with the treatment of black people in America? And not one would, because we all know it's unfair.
Well, I don't want to speak for all white people here, but I will say a lot of people would probably turn around and say the worst part about the treatment of black people in America is how black people treat each other in America.
But see, why is it always a spin?
It's not a spin. It's a fact. If we're laying out the factual issues, and we're going to rank them in terms of what's the most critical in terms of making black life miserable in America, I personally think I would put the way black people treat black people at the top.
I'm all for self-accountability. I call you king, and I call all our black women queens to purposely elevate and uplift them. That's what I've been doing it for a year now. I don't use any other words other than king or queen referring to our own, because we've been personally degraded. We degrade ourselves, and we've been degraded. But we always spin the point.
It's not a spin. How do we fix that?
You have to
How do we fix that? Black people
When
killing
does the
black
perpetrator take acceptance? Right? You want the victim to take acceptance, but when does the perpetrator, the government who created this system,
not the government,
that has abused and traumatized the
not
people?
The government. I'm talking about the young brothers who are going to kill each other this week.
I know
all
what you're
across
talking
this
about.
He's not talking about the government. He's not talking about the government that he's proving is killing millions of people, but he's talking about the blacks killing the blacks or the colors killing the colors. Are you kidding me? You whitewashed motherfucker. Are you kidding me? That's what you have to say? You're not talking about, because you're not going to talk about the government. You refuse to, because you guys cannot. You all cannot. If they are to address the facts, it's game over for them.
I'm okay with
You okay with them
self-accountability.
killing each other?
No, I'm okay with self-accountability.
How do you fix that then?
How do we fix that? It's through our repair curriculum. Right now, we're repairing ourselves by unifying ourselves. I have a solution for us. The solution for us is for us to get some self-dignity, self-pride, by us unifying, understand that before we're American, we're African first. That's why it's African-American. And when African people realize that we are one people who are the source of African cultures and tribes and countries that were brought here, captured here, and been left in this crap to deal with it ourselves, then we'll unite and we'll fix our own problems. But we cannot forget the perpetrator who caused this misery for us.
I think we're all Americans first and foremost.
You're not.
First and foremost, yes. I am an American, and
You're
I'm of African descent, and I'm
Correct.
proud of that.
Right.
But I'm more proud of being.
You're African first, but the American census, how far do we have to go back for the American census? It said free white people and all others. You weren't considered an American, bro. What? You whitewash. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? This dude here.
In America, more than anything
grandparents
else.
were American, they were African.
It doesn't matter.
There were
People are going to be
free Africans.
Jay, they're going to be
before they were
people
American.
sworn in tomorrow.
Before they
They're
were
gonna be
colonized
people-
Americans, they were free Africans.
They're going to be people sworn in tomorrow.
forget
And
you
guess
were
what?
a free
They're going to have
African
tears
before you were
streaming down their eyes because they get to be a part of this great American dream.
They want to assimilate
And they will call
while the
themselves
majority of their
Americans.
people are in misery. I get it. I'm doing well for myself. You're doing well. There's a 10% of us that do well. But what about the rest of us? who are left in the ghettos, who are left in poverty, who are left with low education, who are left to deal with this.
And yet,
don't forget about your people, King.
Listen. By saying being honest,
who caused this misery for your people? Who caused this misery for your people?
I know
what system did.
The misery I've seen in my own life, most of it against black people, have been at the hands of other.
And what's the other?
The murders I've seen. The stabbings I've seen.
Who put them in that condition?
The harm I've seen.
Who put them in that condition? Who broke them down that way?
Okay, that's what I've seen.
Who did?
He's not going to answer these questions, guys, just to let you know. He's just going to run around. Yeah.
Traded them that way.
Who
demoralized them that way?
Ultimately, Jay.
Who dehumanized them that way? Where did they get that condition from, King?
Jay, ultimately, it's not going to wash. It doesn't wash down.
What's the root of black people being in the condition they are?
Before I let you go,
stop talking about the leaves. What's the root?
Do you condemn what happened in Baton Rouge?
Do I condemn what happened in Baton Rouge?
The killing of those police officers?
The killing of Alvin Sterling?
Of those police officers.
I condemn all killings of all human beings. I don't think any human being should be taken. A God-given life should not be taken by another human being. I condemn all God-given.
He's going to ask him, do he condemn the killing of a police officer? But he just washed right over all of the killings of all the colored folks and all the killings of the police officers. I mean, all the killings the police officers have done of colored folk. I mean, I guess he wasn't born when Rodney King got beat on live television. Maybe he too young. I'm just saying. Because, bro, he done lived a extra great life, obviously, because he think he Caucasian. It's a little cluttered on the other side. Sometimes I take the boy by.
Life being taken by someone.
Right.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to leave it there. Hopefully we're going to have this conversation again sometime in the near future.
Never forget the root of our problem.
All right.
Never forget the root of our problem. Boy, he ain't let him get away with that. He thought he was going to exit with that one, like run away. Again, I don't have the original posting to this video because I'm getting it from a Facebook link. But I encourage you guys to go watch that again and again and again and again without my interruption so you can hear it properly and in its entirety. But that was amazing. I have another video to add to this one. Just so you understand, just so for the people that's confused, that keeps trying to deter from the actual conversations and say that one thing has nothing to do with the next, or that things are not the same, or that things have changed, or we have to make man. This one here is so powerful, y'all. I am not even going to interrupt. I'm going to have to let this one play all the way through, just so you guys can understand and feel the energy from this one. May the energies cover her and be with her.
Is that we must never forget that economics was the reason that black people were brought to this country. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that? That's what we came to do. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Now, if I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, that was Rosewood. Those are places where we built black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play, and they say, okay, now how you catch up. Now, at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the fuck do I give a shit about burning the fucking Football Hall of Fame, about burning a fucking Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give a fuck. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own, by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Hoo hoo hoo. Tell me that. What? I don't think that there's anything else I need to, like, when they come to me saying anything from now on, I'm just send them to this video. That's it. Just send them to this video. There was nothing else need to be said. Every time we built ourselves up, started thriving, had our own stuff, the Caucasians came in with their name behind them called the government. And they mass murdered us. They slaughtered us. Burnt us. Bombed us. Used bombs. What type of people would use bombs to kill others because they are thriving? Because they are building? What type of people would it take? What type of people would it take to not retaliate on people that did that? We are those kind of people. We have been living peacefully. All we have ever wanted to do is live peacefully. But there is a certain kind that runs in their blood that they must hate. I mean, take a look in my comments. The hate that spews from their fingers or from their keyboards or whatever. The names that they call you. The continuous responses. They're so angry, especially if you're waking up, if you're informing others. They get so angry. Just one more to share with you guys on this one. Now this one, oh man. I don't know which one of these three are my favorite, but this guy here was just excellent. His demeanor, his respect, his everything, but the message was just as effective. Take a close listen. Again, to those that's very confused and to those that keeps coming in the comments, we see you guys. We know who you are. Your anger, your hate, or your agendas that you're trying to push with deterring people from the truth is not working. Let's watch.
Problem exist because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed.
This is the big, I agree with you perfectly. This is the basic problem.
Then what do you
That white people think they're better
What's it
than
that I can
others.
do? I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama, and I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and oh Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you've tried to force upon us is contaminated.
Well,
so you can have him. The problem exists because white people...
Ooh. 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 You have got to go find that video and watch that one over and over and over again. I mean, he just laid that out so perfectly, so calm, cool, and collected. I'm not even sure I would be able to articulate it like that. I don't even think I could. I really don't think I could. That was amazing. But yeah, guys, this was just a good video to show how everything is tying in together. Rosewood, Tulsa, the race riots, Scottsboro boys, the gasoline baths. Everything that has been happening is by one set type of people. One set type. Go check out the gasoline at the border baths. Gasoline baths at the border video. Check out mine. Check out the original video. Let's discuss. Tell me if, what's your thoughts? Do you all feel the pain of everyone? And you got to remember, look at some of these videos. I mean, some of these are recent videos, but a lot of these videos are so old. I mean, I had one video that was from 1994, which is 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago. Or nearly 20 years ago. So yeah, guys, more videos to come. I'm just, I'm hoping we're starting to get it now.